Okay, so let's talk about if we install a chip incorrectly. Here we have our counter. This is going to cycle through the USA lettering. And let's say if I have installed it incorrectly, I can take my chip pullers and these little catches at the end go on each bottom of the chip. We want to hold the board firmly and grab each end of the chip. Make sure you have a good grip on it. Sometimes you might have to pry this up with a screwdriver gently on the end. And then I'm going to pull in a straight up and down motion so I don't damage my pins. And I'm going to pull straight up. And I've removed the chip. Make sure your pins are straight before you reinsert it. And line up every one of the pins. This one's going to go pretty easy because it's already been in that holder. And then firmly press down on the middle. And we've inserted that chip. Next, our instructions call for installing some resistors. You've already tested it, so we're on step 19. We're going to install some 1 kilo ohm SMT resistors. Let's locate those. They're a little bit confusing on the board. We have R4, located here. We have R5 located here, and R6 located here, up and down. So install those. I've already installed them. Next, tin the pads of diodes 1 through 5. And so we have diodes 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Do not install the diodes or remove them from the packaging. All right. So once you've done that, you've tinned all the pads. Let's talk about a diode. In your kit, you will find some tiny little diodes that look like this. Notice they have a small black band along one side. That denotes the negative, and that's going to go on our board in the appropriate place. Now what a diode is basically a check valve for electricity. It's only going to let voltage flow in one way. All right. Now here's where all of you are going to, I'm going to pay particular attention. You're going to install these diodes incorrectly. And the reason I say that is because I always did the same thing. So I was assuming they were all one way, and I went through their soldering and they switched on me. So pay attention to which way the diodes are marked. The black goes to the negative. And so I have a negative on this side, and I have the black, black, black. And then on D5, which is the one I messed up on, it flips. The positive is now on this side. If you install one incorrectly and you sit there and you get it off and you apply too much heat, it would be a good idea to check it before you reinstall it. If you burned it up too much, you just need to throw it away and get a new one. So let's talk about checking these diodes. I have my meter set on 2000K. and I'm going to check one of my diodes that I've already installed. I'm going to make, if they're installed correctly, if I apply the positive lead of my meter on one side of the diode, and I apply the negative lead on the other side, I should read about 1400 K, somewhere about there. It's going to vary, but if I reverse my leads and apply the negative to the positive side of this check valve, because we're applying current in the opposite direction through our meter, we'll notice it says, oh, it says infinite resistance. All right. To me, what that means is this diode is working. If I reverse my leads again and apply the positive to the negative, then I see that it is showing resistance. Now, back over here towards the counter chip, you'll notice that my readings are probably going to change. They're going to be slightly different. We'll try a D13. Get it on the right way, because if you need to pay attention, because they keep flopping back and forth, so if you just trucking along there, you'll put them in incorrectly. And so some of these, you'll notice this reading is going down. We're probably backfeeding through the component somewhere else, maybe a capacitor. So basically we're looking for readings with the negative on the negative, the black on the negative, and the red on the positive, and no readings in the opposite direction. That tells me that that diode is working. So once you've installed all your diodes, you need to go through there and verify that you've installed each one of them correctly and test them with a meter. And you don't want to, you want to make sure you try to get to the outside solder edge so you can catch a cold solder joint. If we come through here, we want to go to the outside edge and check it. And if it is installed correctly, we should show somewhere around 1300 K on your meters. And it is installed correctly. Notice the black band here to the negative and the clear no band to the positive. So make sure they're installed correctly. So on to soldering. We want to solder. I have one left. I've done all mine but this last one. And so pay particular attention. Hopefully this is not an example of what not to do. I'm going to come over here. I've already tinned my pads and applied my solder. That diode is incorrect. So we need to flip it. We're going to make sure we grab it the negative side. So we have our black band on the negative. I'm going to heat up my positive side, whatever side you work on, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get that pretty hot, and then I'm just going to shove this in. So I'm going to heat this pad up first before applying any heat to the component. Got it good and hot. I'm just going to shove it in, remove solder tip, wait for it to set up, and it's set up. That turned out pretty good. Now for the other side, simply take your soldering iron, which seems to work best, heat this up and kind of flip the solder up onto the other side so it'll bond. Right now it's not bonded, so I'm going to heat my solder up, and I'm just going to flip it up like that, and that's it. That should have bonded. I'll find anything that wasn't bonded when I go check it, and it is installed the correct way. So that is we are complete with step 20. Next is step 21, transistors, which I'll save for another one.